When you are surrounding yourself by men who are ambitious and have goals set aside for themselves, and you see them achieving these big things, that indirectly affects you. The more people you know, the more opportunities can come your way. Networking is very important, and I'm learning this as I'm getting older, and I'm 29. Networking is very important, because even just from networking, you can even What's up, Brodies? Welcome to the Bourbon Effect. My name is Tunji, and you already know what it is, so let's talk. Before I get into the video, if you have not already, please hit that like, comment, and subscribe button. Hit that notification bell so you know every time that I post. And you already know what it is, so let's get straight into the video. Today, I'm going to be talking about something that's been long overdue, but I feel like everything happens for a reason, and timing has its purpose, and maybe this was the right time to talk about it. But today I'm going to be talking about brotherhood.
What do you know about brotherhood?
Now, when I say brotherhood, I'm not exclusively talking about people that you are related to or anything like that, but more so like-minded men who you surround yourself with, who have a common goal, task, or purpose that they are trying to fulfill in their life. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because as I've gotten older, to be honest with you guys, I've had a pretty lonely life. And I'm not saying that for y'all to feel sorry for me or anything like that. It does have its perks. There are a lot of great benefits that I've gained from that, but there are also a lot of things that I've learned from that as well. And one of the things that I learned was that you don't always have to do everything by yourself. Because I grew up an only child, I was used to doing so many things by myself, and eventually I adapted this mindset of telling myself that I don't need anybody's help. I can do things all by myself. I don't want anybody to think I need them or anything of the sort. And I adapted this mindset for years. And as I've gotten older, I've realized that having like-minded men around you can change the trajectory of your life completely. When I finally did start to make more friends after high school, when I came back from Nigeria and I came here for college, I didn't have too many friends. I went to Nigeria for high school. I was born here in Chicago, but by the time I came back from high school, from Nigeria, a lot of the people that I knew had already probably moved on with their lives. They forgot about me and all that stuff. So I kind of had to start all over in a way. The only people that really, I would say, were familiar with me were like maybe my family and stuff like that, but I kind of had to start over. So I did a lot of things by myself. And over the years, I've realized that you can gain so many things with surrounding yourself with the right people, with the right men. And it can go either way. It can go either really good, it can go really bad, or it can be neutral. The neutral was where I found myself at, to where I was aware enough to know that there's certain things that I didn't want to interact with in certain environments that I did not want to place myself in. But at the same time, I wasn't surrounded by people who were chasing super big dreams and super big goals. I remember at a certain point in my early 20s, I had friends who, nothing wrong with them, but they didn't have their own apartment. They were still living with their parents, and I was still living with my parents as well. I was still living with my mom. I didn't have a car. And there's just so many things happening. And for years, I was fine with that. Not that I was fine. I did want to get a car, obviously, but because they didn't have an apartment, I didn't really care too much to have an apartment, but they all had cars. And so eventually I worked hard enough and I got myself a car. I didn't want to feel left out. And the reason why I use that as an example is because when you are surrounding yourself by men who are ambitious and have goals set aside for themselves, and you see them achieving these big things, that indirectly affects you. It makes you want to do the same thing because you don't want to be left out. You don't want to feel left out. And so when you see them achieving these things and you see how ambitious they are, that inherently makes you more ambitious and that makes you want to do more. But when you're surrounding yourself with men who don't want to do anything, who are content with where they're at, they don't have any goals for themselves, they're perfectly fine living at their mom's crib or just having an apartment and having a steady job, living a 9-to-5, and that's it, that indirectly can affect you too. Now, I'm not saying that you're not going to be aware enough to know, oh, I want more for myself. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that you want to surround yourself by the right people. Some of my closest friends that I have today, right? They live in the city. I remember at the time I had finally gotten my car and everything like that. And eventually I met them. They had their own place. They had their own car. I was still living with my mom's. And I remember one time they came from the city to visit me and they came over to my mom's place. You know, I ain't gonna lie, I was a little embarrassed because I'm over here inviting them to not even my own place, but my mom's crib, while they had their own place. They had their own spot. They had, customized it the way they wanted it to make it their own feel. And I remember after that day, I was just like, this is kind of embarrassing. I don't wanna live with my mom's. I'm already a certain age in my 20s. I think it's time for me to get my own spot. And I kid you guys not, within 1 year, my credit went from like low 500s to 700s. I was able to get an apartment within 1 year. Now, as easy as that sounds, getting your credit score from 500 all the way up to 700 is not an easy task. It can be if you know what you're doing, but those were certain things I set for myself. I said, I want to fix my credit. I didn't know what to do and how to fix my credit, okay? Because nobody taught me. It's stuff I had to learn by myself. But eventually, I did some research and I did it. And I got my own place because I was surrounding myself with other men who had their own place and their own stuff. And that made me want to do the same thing. Y'all gotta understand that when you are hanging out with people who are super content with what they're doing in their life, you're probably gonna be in the same mindset. And that's fine if that's what you wanna do, if that's what you're fine with, but I wasn't. And so I got to a point where I wanted to chase the goals that I truly had for myself, no matter how scary it was. And eventually I started doing that. That's when I started DJing. That's when I made this YouTube channel. I was very doubtful about making a YouTube channel. And I was also scared because I didn't know how it was gonna turn out. I didn't know people were gonna be, respond to it well. I didn't know how it was gonna end up. I didn't know where to start, but I started. But this isn't about me. My main point is that you guys have to understand, not only do you want to surround yourself with the right people, but also understand that there are people around you, other men around you who are looking at you as an example and you don't even know it. You don't even know it. You're doing all this work, you're doing all these things, and you have other men, other young men who are looking up to you. And you want to make sure that you hold yourself up right because the younger generation is looking at you. I remember I was with my grandpa and we were having a conversation. I hadn't seen him in like almost 2 years, and I saw him recently and we were talking. He was just like, I'm proud of, how far you've come, but also understand that your little brother, he looks up to you. He's looking at you as an example. And I remember, even though I already knew this, I remember when he told me that, not only put a spark in me, but it also made me kind of scared because now I'm like, okay, I don't want to disappoint my younger brother. I want to make sure that if he's looking up to me, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do to give him the right example on what a man should be doing with his life, how he handles life, how he handles things and obstacles when they come his way. But at the same time, I was mixed with so many emotions I didn't know how to feel. But being able to sit down and gather my thoughts, I understand that I have a responsibility as a man to make sure I do what I need to do and surround myself with good people, with like-minded people. Because the people who you surround yourself with can either land you in jail, can either get you killed. So many things. You guys may look at it as, oh yeah, I want to have fun with my friends. There's nothing wrong with that, but Have a goal for yourself. And if the people you're surrounding yourself with are not in your mindset and your wavelength, don't be afraid to walk away and do your own thing for a little bit, up until you find other people who have the same mindset that you do. Help build each other up, share knowledge with each other, something that can help you guys in the upcoming future, and not just play around and play games all day and drink all day and smoke weed all day. You got shit to do. You don't have all the time in the world, Brody. You don't. As much as you think you do, you don't. Bro, I'm about to be 30 in a couple months. Where the fuck did my 20s go? I don't know. But either way, as much as we think we have all the time in the world, time moves by fast. And so you need to get on your shit. So if you're surrounding yourself with people who are not making you a better man, then you need to find another friend group. And don't always think you have to do everything by yourself. I'm not saying it's not impossible to do things by yourself, but the more people you know, the more opportunities can come your way. Networking is very important, and I'm learning this as I'm getting older, and I'm 29. Networking is very important, because even just from networking, you can even find a brotherhood there. I'm not gonna make this video too long, but I'm gonna share a couple points, and then yeah, the video is gonna be done. I was at the gym. I remember being at the gym. This was maybe like a year ago, and there was this one kid who was a little bit chubby, right? A little bit chubby, and I remember going to that gym for like a year consistently, and then I stopped going to that gym and I switched to another gym, and I remember going back to that gym after a couple months, right? And I saw that same kid, and this kid lost weight. He lost weight, and he was looking so much more healthy. So much more healthy, was looking a lot more fit. Never said anything to this kid before, but something was telling me, let me go up to him. I went up to him and I said, bro, I remember when you first started coming to this gym, or when I first started coming to this gym, you were a lot bigger. You've lost so much weight, bro. Keep that shit up. Keep it up, dude. And he was like, man, thank you. Because I've seen him look at me a couple times when I'm at the gym, you know? And he was just like, man, thank you, man. I appreciate that. I'm like, of course, man. Keep doing your thing. And I moved on with my day. You do not realize the power that you hold that can ignite or spark something in another man or another boy or somebody else who sees you. I want all my brothers to succeed. I want all the men around me, and not just me, but just men in general, to be happy and to find their purpose. And you have to understand that you have the power. You may not think you do, but you have the power to spark something in somebody else. Because when I told that kid that, I saw the spark in his eyes. And I guarantee you that kid was going 10 times harder. I wasn't saying that for him to, you know, say anything back to me or anything like that. Or, you know, I didn't do it for any validation or anything like that. I wanted him to know, like, bro, I see you. You may feel like the world doesn't see you, but bro, I see you and I see what you're doing, and keep it up. Because even if the world doesn't see it, even if you feel like nobody sees you, people see you. And that's very important. Some of these people are friends, best friends, family, or just people that I respect a whole lot. Shout out to the Brody, Brian, Derek. Those are like my two best friends. Brian, I remember there's been so many times to where I was just low on money and I didn't have much money and I didn't know how I was gonna do it. And this man would borrow me money and I'd always pay him back, but he'd borrow me money and be like, yo, bro, don't sweat it. When you got it, just bring it back. Never made me feel any type of way about it. Never mentioned it in conversation or nothing like that. He would just help me out, you know? And that's not the only reason why he's one of my closest friends, but you know, when somebody does that for you, you understand that this person really fucks with you. And for them to never really ask for anything back or blow it in your face or throw it in your face, because you know as men, we're very prideful. I really appreciate that. He's done a lot for me. And that's why he's like my brother, man. Shout out to my brother Derek. He's one of the most he's one of the most positive people I've ever met. I rarely see this man mad. I rarely see this man upset. He's just always on cloud nine. Now, obviously, there may be some things he goes through behind closed doors that I may not know about, but I appreciate having that energy around me. And, you know, I've never had any bad experience with him. You know, he's just like cool, positive dude, you know? Those are my niggas right there. Like, those are the dudes that I fuck with so, like, fully. And I appreciate those guys. So shout out to the Brodies, Brian and Derek. Shout out to my boy, MJ. If it wasn't for this man, I probably would have been fired from my previous job a long time ago. And as some of you guys may know, if you've been keeping up with me on my YouTube, I didn't have my car for a little bit because the previous car that I had just wasn't really working anymore. And so for a year, not only did I have to save up for a car, but I also had to use Uber to get myself around, which was a fucking nightmare. But with him, not only did he give me rides to my place, never asked for money, never complained about it, never needed any favor returned or none like that. This man will always help drop me off at my apartment with nothing, wanting nothing in return. And not only that, but this dude is smart. He's one of the hardest working people at my job. You ask him a question on anything, he knows, and he's younger than me. I learned from this guy, and I'm older than him. You know? Very bright young man. So I want to make sure I shout him out, because honestly, if it wasn't for him, I don't know how I'd get home some of these days when I didn't even have money for Uber and, you know, other things like that. There's so much more that I can say about him, but obviously because I'm, you know, timed right now, I'm just gonna leave it at that. So shout out to MJ. Shout out to Rob. Now, Rob is a very unique experience, not experience, but person in this list, because even though I'm not closest of friends with him, he's still my guy. He's still my friend. We're acquaintances and stuff like that. But when it comes to respect, this guy is definitely up there. Not only does this man have a son that he takes care of, but this man also has a father that he takes care of too. And on top of that, this man has 2 jobs. He probably has more, but as from what I know, this man has 2 jobs on top of that. This man carries himself like a fucking man. I told him the other day, like, you're one of the few men out here who I truly respect because of the way you carry yourself. I alone know how much time it takes to not only raise a child, but then also take care of your kid as well. That takes a lot. And on top of that, like this, I think he's like 5'5" or something like that, but this man carries himself like he's bigger than any other nigga in the fucking room. That's how confident this guy is. And I respect that. And when you see a man who is confident and has purpose and sees another man like that, you gotta respect that. You gotta appreciate that. And I let him know, like, hey bro, like, I don't know if people tell you this, I don't know if you hear this often, but bro, I'm proud of you and keep doing the shit that you do. I make sure to let him know that, because there are a lot of men out there and a lot of fathers out here who are doing so much work for their families, who are putting in so much time and so much effort, and time again, it feels like it's a thankless job. Like society just makes it seem like, yo, you're supposed to do that, so shut the fuck up. Nah, you shut the fuck up, because that shit is not easy at all. So respect to my boy Rob. That's my guy right there. And you know, he's probably one of the people I respect the most out of all the men that I've ever met in my life. He's up there, all right? And then my cousins Edmund and Tunde. Edmund and Tunde, these are the guys, these are my cousins, these are my brothers who I grew up with. And honestly, I just love them truly. You know, even though they're my cousins technically, but I just see them as my brothers because we grew up together. And you know, I love them truly. No matter what arguments we have, no matter what we go through, we all grew up together. And, you know, they're like the brothers that I personally didn't have because I grew up an only child. So they were like my brothers. Whenever I'd see them or they come to visit me, I was with them all the time, you know. And till this day, you know, my cousin Tunde, he's in the Army, well, he's in the Navy, you know, so salute to him. And my older cousin Edmund, you know, not to put his business out there, but, you know, he's been homeless for some years now, for a while. He's been homeless for a while. And, you know, it hurts to think about it because he was so skilled in everything that he did. Everything that he put his mind to, he was always just able to get so good at it so fast. Really smart, creative man. Me and my cousin Tunde were always trying to catch up to him. It was like an impossible thing to try to catch up to him. He was good at making music. He was good at rapping. He was good at playing games. Like, this guy was just, you know, he was a creative and he was a very skilled individual. And somewhere along the line, somewhere in life, he lost himself. And there are other factors that I'm not going to talk about in this video. But regardless, I still look up to that man because he reminds me just what type of family I come from. I come from a family of very creative people. We love creating. We're good at making things and we stand out. And those are some of the reasons why I look up to him. I know today's video was a little bit more serious than you probably expected it to be, but you know, it's a serious topic. And as men, we have to look out for each other. And so far we've been doing that. There's been a shift in culture. There's been a shift in the political scene, and there's been a shift globally. And even though us as men we're making waves, don't get your foot off the pedal. Don't lean up off the gas. This is when we gotta push even harder. Look out for each other because society doesn't really look out for men as it should. But that's fine because we're used to that, right? But as long as we got each other's back, and don't trust everybody, but for the people who you do surround yourself with, who are trustworthy, look out for them and lift each other up. But anyway, y'all, that was the end of the video. Hopefully you've already subscribed. Hit that notification bell so you know every time that I post. And put in the comment section, share some encouraging words for your brothers. All right, brodies, but you already know what it is. Bourbon Effect out. Peace out.